So this is our session number 8 now, and today we will talk about typecasting, and we'll talk about string and string functions as well. Okay. So before understanding typecasting, let's quickly do a recap that we have different data types. We have different data types to put different kind of values. So what do we have? We have integer, float, double, correct? This kind of data type we have. Char, and have you heard about long and boolean? There are a lot of things, right? Okay. Why I am writing in this particular manner is based on its size. Yeah. So let me put short, right? There are there are couple of other data types also, but let's understand this that every data type data type has its own reserved memory space. Every data type has its own reserved memory space. So somebody is saying varchar. No, varchar is not a data type in Java. That is in database. You use varchar. In Java, you have char. Okay, short, int, float, long, double. In Boolean, you can put only true or false value. In Boolean, you can put only true or false value. In char, you can declare just char, single character you can declare. Short is for integers. Int is again for the integers. Float is for floating numbers, so you can put decimal points. Long is again for integers but bigger values, and double is for again decimal but bigger values. So I'm not going into size and what is the limit of putting the values. That you can see anytime, like there is a chart which will tell you that what are the possible values you can put in integer, what are the possible values you can put inside the char, right? But this is what we say, um, a sequence of all these data types. Okay, and let's I'm referring to one of the W3 school chapter, let's say. Let me open it right now. Okay, so if I go here, there's a typecasting part, and let's understand why typecasting is required sometimes, right? Sometimes it happens that you want to change a particular data type to another data type. So for example, if you see here, byte is the shortest uh, data type, then short, then char, then int, long, float, double. Okay, this is the sequence. This is the sequence. Okay, so there are two kind of typecasting. One is when we say implicit typecasting, and another is called explicit typecasting. I will talk about it. Don't worry about what is the difference and all. So there are two kind of typecasting: implicit, implicit, and explicit typecasting. So it may happen that you want to change a particular value to another value, another data type. So for example, if I say float p is equals to 2.25, 2.35f. Do you know you have to declare the float variable like this. Float p is equals to 2.35f. Okay, so this is 2.35. Now at any point, let's say you just want its integer part. So its integer part is 2, correct? So if I'll write integer w is equals to p, so will it give us an error? Let's see. So I'm copying this line, and there is online editor. I'm using it because I don't know, somehow in my system Eclipse is not working. I'm trying to resolve it, but let me change this program. Okay, so what we want to achieve is we are putting it like this. If you see the program, what we are doing, simply we declared float p is equals to 2.35 value, and then we are saying int. There was some problem, but it is resolved now. Okay, so if you see here, you want to put a float value to w, and w is integer, right? So will it work? First question is, will it work, or will it show any kind of error? Okay, so let me execute this. So it's saying me one error. It's saying me incompatible types, possible loss of conversion from float to int. So what it is saying, that line number 5 has one error, that p is a float value and you are putting inside int dub in integer value, right? So that is not possible. So if you see here, we want to put a float value to an integer value. So by logic, by Java's compiler logic, it is not possible. You cannot put float value to the integer value, and it's all actually logical. Why? Because float has 2.35, but integer do not accept with the decimal values. Integer accepts only, 0 and positive real numbers and negative real numbers without decimal. Okay, so that's why this kind of error is coming. To resolve this issue, you can do explicit typecasting. So what is explicit typecasting is, here you can write int. Here you can write int. This is called explicit typecasting. Explicit typecasting. I'm writing in the comment. What we are doing is, p is 2.35. Okay. We are changing temporarily. Whenever typecasting is happening, it's not changing p value to integer. It's not like that. Permanently, it's not changing. P is still 2.35. Temporarily, we are changing p to an integer value and then keeping it to w. It's like this. Let's print both the values so that it will be clear. Let's print both the values so that it will be very clear what is happening with these values. I'm using this online editor because my Eclipse is not working today. So now let's see whether there is any error now. So I'm executing it, and this time if we see, it's saying 2.35 and 2. Why it is saying 2.35 and 2? Because p value is still 2.35. P value was 2.35 and and W is 2. Why W is 2? Again there is a question. Why W is 2? Because P is changed to integer. Whenever you are changing anything to integer, all the decimal values will be neglected. Okay, all the decimal values will be neglected and only 2 will be there. So 2 is assigned to W. This is called explicit typecasting. Now the question is, what is implicit typecasting? Let's take another example. This time I am saying integer r is equals to 10. Okay, and in the next line I am saying float t is equals to r. So will we get any error with this? Will we get error for this? Let's print both the values again. So let's print both the values r and t. So this is very simple. Just concentrate about 11th line to 14th line. Integer r is 10. Float t is equals to r and printing r and t. So let's execute it. This time it is printing me 10 and 10.0. See at the bottom 10 and 10.0 it is printing us, right? So why it is doing in this way? Because 10 is simply r, it is printing 10. Then t, you assigned r which was integer to a float value and it was accepting it without any casting. There is no problem now. This is implicit typecast. Now your question is why it was not showing error. It should say me an error that there is mismatch. You are putting an integer value to a float value, but it is not showing us any error. Because if I'll tell you in a simple language, you can put smaller boxes to the bigger boxes, but big box will not fit it to the smaller box. So let me explain this through paint. So for example, let's say there is one box, okay, and this is one box, right? And there will be another box. So I'm making one more box. Consider this that it's a kind of memory space. So can you put this bigger box inside this smaller box? It's not possible. You cannot put bigger box to the smaller box, but a smaller box you can put to the bigger box. So let's understand that this is integer and I'm taking double here for example because integer and float has the same size. So let's search the size chart for data type. Let's search for size chart for data types. Size chart for Java data types. Size chart means we are going to see how much memory a particular variables take, which is defined in a particular way. So for example, okay, same W3 school only have that chart. Byte, whenever you declare, it takes 1 byte of memory space. Okay, where is that chart? Yes, this one. So integer take 4 bytes, float also takes 4 bytes, and long takes 8 bytes, double is 8 bytes, boolean is 1 bit, and char is 2 bytes. So whenever you want to put any value which is smaller to bigger boxes, it will be fine. There will be implicit typecasting. But whenever you want to put, so this is a sequence, right? This is the sequence of memory it takes. So, but if you want to put double value to a float value, that is not possible. So let me simply change this example. What I am saying is, let's take it as float as of now, integer or float, anything. So can we put any integer or float value to the double value? Yes, it's possible. That means I can write integer x is equals to 12, let's say, and in the next line I can write double r is equals to x. There is no problem. So when we say double r is equals to x, that means x you want to put in the bigger box. Double, when you say double r, this is r, right? So this has a bigger box. This box size is, double is 8 bytes. So this is 8 bytes memory. 8 bytes. Whereas integer and float is 4 bytes. Okay. So can you put 4 byte thing to the 8 byte? Yes. So that this is what we are doing. Double r is equals to x. But opposite to this, if I say that double r is equals to 2.345, and if I say integer x is equals to r, so this is not allowed. Okay, this is not allowed for a simple reason that you have double r which has 2 point, it's not about the value. Let's understand, 2.345 is a very smaller value. It's not about the value, it is about how much memory is it reserved. So double r is equals to 2.45 something, 2.345. So r is taking 8 bytes memory. Integer x is equals to r. You want to put a bigger box, you want to put it into integer. So this is not allowed. But if you want to do it, if you want to do this thing, then you should write integer x is equals to, in the bracket, int, and then write r. Okay. If you want to do it somehow, then you have to do explicit typecasting. What we have done in this line is convert the r temporarily to int. So what it will do, whatever the value you have in the r, squeeze it and make it as a smaller box temporarily. Not r will is not going to change. R is still 2.345, and it is there in the place here 2.345. It's like temporary creating a smaller box. So what it will do with this line, it will create temporary one small box of 4 byte. Now you can put 4 byte thing to another 4 byte thing. Now this is fine. If you want to put 4 byte thing to another 4 byte thing, that is fine. There is no issue in that. Okay. So that is fine, they are saying. But you cannot put a smaller, bigger box to the smaller box. So this is the kind of hierarchy they are explaining in this particular chapter, that So this is automatically. Automatically means when you want to put byte into the short, it's fine. Short you want to put in char, that is fine. Char if you want to put the integer, that is fine. Integer if you want to put the long, that is fine. Long you want to put in float, that is fine. Float into double is fine. So now convert a larger type to a smaller type size. This is explicit thing. Okay. So they have some examples similar to what we are talking about. You can see that. Okay. Okay. So sometimes we have to make a smaller value to the bigger value, sometimes bigger value to the smaller value. That is also sometimes happens. So for example, it may happen that you want to, for some reason, you declare, let's say, integer q is equals to 123, and for some kind of calculation, you want to do, let's say, double uh, t is equals to um, q divided by 100, q divided by 200, let's say. Okay, you want to do q divided by 100. So can anybody guess what will be the t if I write here print t? What will be the output? Just for this, can anybody tell me that for this, concentrate on this part only. I am asking that what will be the output of this particular lines? Integer q is 123, double t is equals to q by 200, and print t. What will be the output? Put it into the chat window. So let's check what it will print. We are saying int q is 123, double y is equals to q by 200, and printing the y. Let's execute it. So once we execute it, it's saying there is an error. Cannot find, oh, there is a spelling mistake. Let me, sorry. It's double, sorry. Execute. It is showing me 0.0. It is not showing me 0.615. It is showing me 0. Okay. Why it is showing me 0? Let's understand. That is why, if you remember, I was saying assignment operator is looks simple, but let's understand it. Q is 123. Perfect. So this part will get executed first. Q by 200. In Java, integer divided by integer is integer. In Java, integer divided by integer will be one integer. So what is happening here? Q is integer 123 divided by 200, integer divided by integer. So actual 0.63, whatever you're saying, is calculated. Java calculates it in the background. Okay, 0.6. But then there is a rule that integer divided by integer is integer. So what happens is 0 point, whatever you have written after the decimal will be discarded and the final answer will be 0. So it's like we are saying double y is equals to 0, and 0, which is integer, is putting into y. So it will automatically convert it to 0.0. This is like implicit typecasting. Right hand side is one integer, smaller box. You are putting into the bigger box. That's perfectly fine. And this is why it will do 0.0. So sometimes to resolve this kind of thing, you convert integer to the double. That is also possible. So here, if we will convert it to double temporarily, then it will work. I'll explain it again, don't worry. So now it's coming 0.615. So in Java, integer divided by integer is integer. Maybe you guys are not getting it because I am just guessing because you guys have not gone through this chapters related to data types. If you read the data types, there is clearly stated that what kind of data type, what kind of value you can put in a particular data type. So when you say number, integer, any variable name, you can assign only the numeric values, right? Whole number. So let's, I'm not going through it again, but understand that every data type has a certain kind of value you can put, right? So I'm going back to this. So what happens is, here if you see, for 17th line statement, how it will get executed? Right hand side will be executed first. Okay. Q by 200. What is Q? Q is 123. 123 by 100. 200. So 123 is integer, right? Q is integer. So 123 is integer here. Divided by 200. 200 is by default a number which is integer. So in Java, integer by integer is integer. So 123 by 200, which is actually 0.615, but it will not, the final answer for having integer by integer will be 0. Why? Because it will discard this part after what you have written after the decimal. 0.615, 0.615, it will not consider this part, and finally 0 will be assigned to y. That is why to resolve this kind of thing you have to do typecasting. So here I am writing double. So what will happen at the time of execution? It will convert q to double. So q is 123, that will be converted to 123.00. There is no difference as per the value. It is just q will be converted temporarily to 123.00. And then in Java, double divided by integer is double. Double divided by double is double. Double divided by integer is also double. Integer divided by double is also double. Any one of them, if it is double, final answer is double. It's like this. So we made q as double, explicitly typecasting it. This is explicit typecasting, dividing it by 200. Now you will get 0.615. Okay. So there are a lot of things to read here. Try on your own. Now if you go through this chapter, you will get to know what I am saying and how it will work.